Ahoy! Welcome back to the North. It's nwtkid, Games and Such. In this video, I'm going to be showing my Game Boy Advance collection. Now, this is one of my smaller collections, but I have so many fond memories bringing a Game Boy Advance on the road as a kid and also a teenager. So, of course, there's so many fond memories. I have, quite a few games here that I've spent numerous hours on. Let's take a look at them here. The first game in my collection is Pokemon Leaf Green. This is a remake of Red and Blue version from the original Game Boy. In this version, you run around Kanto catching and collecting the original 150 Pokemon, and after beating the Elite Four, you are able to go and catch Johto Pokemon on different islands. It's pretty unique. I find this more interesting to go back to years later now, rather than the original Game Boy ones. The next game in my collection is Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. This game came out in the era when each year a new Tony Hawk game blessed the world. During the time, Activision tried to see if they could replicate the same success with other sports. The console version of this franchise is alright, but if you want to play an extreme sports game on the GBA, there are better titles. I would try Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for starters. The next game in my collection is Super Mario World Super Mario Advance 2. Interesting name. This game was lended to me, so I'm probably on a list somewhere as that one friend who doesn't bring back borrowed games. This game is just a port. Back in the GBA days, they were really kind of just re-releasing Super Nintendo games, and all the Mario games definitely got ports for the GBA. The next game in my collection is Dragon Ball Z Super Sonic Warriors. Back in the 90s, the Super Famicom had so many DBZ games and none of them made it to North America. It wasn't until I discovered emulators that I finally played those region-locked games. This game plays just like those fighting games and is one of my favorite fighters on the system. The next game in my collection is Mega Man 02. I haven't played this game. Back on the Super Nintendo, I used to play Mega Man X all the time, and Zero shows up and is such a badass. I always wanted to play as him. They eventually gave him his own games on the GBA, and I have the second game, but when it comes to number games, I always want to play the first one. So when I see a second game, third, or fourth, it's like, oh, I should play one first before I even play any of those. That's how I feel about this game. So if I get one, maybe I'll play it, but I don't really want to play this game for some reason, but it's here in my collection. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance! I have it! This game is just like, but not a direct sequel to Final Fantasy Tactics on the PS1. It's a tactical role-playing game on a board. I used to play the bejesus out of it on road trips, but the one thing I have to say about it is that the intro is like 40 minutes before you even start playing, so oh boy, it's a long time before you start playing the game. And of course you need a Harvest Moon game in there, so I have Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town. In this version of everyone's favorite farming sim, you are able to interact with a town. That may not sound like much now, but in the Game Boy Color version, you could only farm and not really interact with anything else except the farm. So it's pretty cool that you can go into town and eventually even get married to one of the townsfolk. It's a fun game, and it's portable, and it's one of my favorites actually. And last and least, I have Yu-Gi-Oh! Double Pack 2. I haven't played one of the games, but I'm kind of a master at Dungeon Dice Monsters in this. Dungeon Dice Monsters is kind of a spin-off game from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's interesting that they decided to make a game and also a board game out of it because really, it wasn't really featured that big in the anime, but for some reason they made a bunch of stuff out of it. Interesting. And that is my Game Boy Advance collection. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this video. I hope you liked it, and I will show eventually more of my collection, but that is just it for today. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you in the next video.